Let's take you overseas now, because President Trump in the Oval Office just moments ago talking about that fragile ceasefire deal between Israel and Hamas and about his plans for Palestinians in Gaza, after the president has talked repeatedly about this idea of the U.S. owning, essentially, the Gaza Strip, with real questions now about what happens to those roughly 2 million Palestinians who live there from here, all ahead of that critical meeting with the King of Jordan tomorrow. Yasmin Vossoughian is joining us now from Tel Aviv. So, yes, we are waiting to get, I think, more of the video in from President Trump in the Oval Office. But I'm looking at my phone here because he was asked about this a couple of times, and he talked about this ceasefire, suggesting that if it were up to him, he would essentially give until just midday Saturday for these sort of things to get figured out here, right? I mean, talk through the implications of something like that from the President of the United States.
The implications are beyond what anybody can explain. So the implications are life. The implications are all-out war, once again. And we've seen what has taken place since October 7th and the incredible amount of loss of life that we have seen both amongst Israelis and Palestinians throughout this entire war. You now have President Trump essentially saying that he would essentially cancel the ceasefire deal if, in fact, the hostages are not returned by noon on Saturday. And then going on to say, let all hell break loose. And by the way, I'm not paraphrasing here. That is, it seems, an exact quote from inside the Oval Office at some executive order signings in which the president was just doing. Talking about the implications of this thing, we have an incredibly unpredictable Hamas who has just come out with a statement a couple of hours ago, essentially saying they're holding on to the hostages until they feel as if Israel holds up their end of the bargain. We talked about this earlier, right? Providing more humanitarian aid, the tents, the caravans, allowing free passage of Palestinians from the south to the north, stopping of the shelling and the shooting. I think it's important to understand this. The Palestinians have one card to play. The Gazans at this point have one card to play, right? Most of Gaza has been reduced to rubble. Leadership of Hamas has been killed for the most part throughout this entire war. That doesn't mean the ideology is gone, but the leadership is gone. So the only card they have to play, Hallie, at this point is the hostages. So between the rhetoric that they were hearing from President Trump last week, in combination with, of course, what they heard from Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu after the hostages were released on Saturday, in which he said the images were shocking and that there would, quote unquote, be a response. What that response means, we don't necessarily know. And then what they claim is not enough humanitarian aid. All those three combined together with now President Trump saying in the Oval Office of all places, let hell break loose if they don't return those hostages. I think nobody can predict what's actually going to happen between now and Saturday. If I can talk quickly, Hallie, about the timing here when it comes to Saturday, right? Because normally we would get the names of the hostages on Friday around 4 p.m. or so local time here in Israel. That is early morning for you guys on the East Coast. So it's all going to be dependent on what really takes place in the next couple of days. If those names come forward, if, in fact, Prime Minister Netanyahu convenes his security cabinet tomorrow morning, which he has said he is going to do. We're hearing from local officials here that that's going to happen. If they're able to reconvene both parties, possibly in Qatar or possibly remaining where they are and just having a conversation to get this ceasefire deal up and going once again. But then also the factor of now President Trump weighing in and saying all hell break loose. It'll be interesting to see how Hamas reacts to that, knowing the only card, Hallie, they have to play, and I cannot reiterate this enough, is those hostages.
Yasmin Vossoughian live for us from Tel Aviv tonight. Yasmin, thank you.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.